Oh, shit. Okay, so, per usual with these little videos that I make, unscripted and therefore going to be kind of all over the place, so I apologize. But here's something that I've been thinking about a lot recently, and I've been trying to distract myself and ignore it, but you can't do that forever because it's always going to be there at the end of the day when you're trying to go to sleep, or the second you press pause on a video or shut off your phone. I have always kind of freaked out over the idea of getting older. Since I was 11, actually, I really started to become very aware of the fact that, wow, okay, I'm an actual human person that grows and ages and impacts things and is impacted by things. And 11 was my first existential crisis. And I kind of just lay down on the floor. I still remember it. In my head, I was like, well, now I feel too old to be a kid, but also I'm too young to really do anything. And I just kind of lay down on the floor staring at the ceiling for a bit. And then for a while it was fine. I was actually pretty excited about getting older. I was excited about forming my own independence, being able to earn my own money, get my own things, have my own responsibilities, and that was all great and fun. And plus, I was a kid and I was like, wow, teenagers are so cool. Y'all look cool. But in a very admirable, like, whoa, these people that are way above anything in existence, these are what all the movies are about, and things like that. So I was pretty stoked about getting older. But then when I was 17 and about to turn 18, I just completely freaked out because it was a very sudden, harsh realization that I was about to be an adult for the first time ever. And obviously that goes without saying, but it really was just, oh god, I've never been an adult before. I don't know how to do that. And no one really tells you how to do that. There are people that will say this, that, and the other is expected of you. Oh, you can't like that, it's too childish, or you have to like this thing now because that's what adults do. And for the most part, that's all bullshit because they're all stereotypes. Just like, oh, you can't like this thing anymore. That's for kids. That's not what you should be interested in. Who gives a shit? If you like what you like, then that's fine. It's not hurting anybody. So that's one thing that you shouldn't really worry about. You can still hold on to the things that you value. But it was also that realization that I was stepping away from that familiarity of I'm being cared for, not just by family, but by the world as a whole. A lot of things in the world are made for kids, and when I say kids, I am kind of lumping teenagers into that little blanket statement. No shade, obviously, but to distinguish just kids and adults. And every year since my 18th birthday, I've kind of freaked out around my birthday. Not to say that I don't get excited too, of course I do, because it's like, wow, everyone's being nice to me. Everyone's being nice to me and giving me things, which is pretty fun. But there's also that huge element of panic that comes with inside, you never really change. At the core of who you are, you never really change. You learn new things, you learn how to handle different situations, you gain different new interests, but ultimately you are still the exact same person that you were when you first formed consciousness. You, at the core of who you are, will never change. So inside, I still feel like a kid. Namely, mostly just a teenager, but also like a young kid too. And the concept of being my own autonomous adult human that has to do stuff just makes me panic a little bit. Not because I freak out at responsibility per se, but when you're a kid, you kind of have that mentality of, well, adults are supposed to know everything. If you have a question, you go to an adult. If you have a problem, you go to an adult. If something seems impossible to handle or deal with, you go to an adult. Because they handle everything, right? But the older you get, the more you realize no one really knows what they're doing. And that is terrifying. It's assuring too, because it's like, okay, if no one knows what they're doing, then I didn't miss the memo. But at the same time, it's scary to realize that no one, including yourself, truly knows what they're doing. When you're an adult and you are responsible over your own life, yes, you can reach out for support when you need it, but also it's scary to realize that you're kind of alone in having to figure things out. And yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy when inside you still feel like a scared kid that just needs an adult to take care of a situation or just hold your hand. And I keep getting told by other people my age and people older than me that 23 is not that old. Hell, even some people younger than me are telling me 23 is not that old. And it's not. It's true. It's not. But it's still the oldest I've ever been. And it is further kind of pushing me into a world that I am supposed to understand, or at least that I feel like I'm supposed to understand, and I just really don't. So it's a bit scary, and I know that getting older is scary for other people too, but I thought I would just kind of live share my thoughts about it. And this would not be a video of mine talking about life and existence if I didn't put some TED Talk positive spin on it. Yeah. You may be thinking that, and you're right, because I can't help it. But it genuinely is not that bad to get older. I have to sit with myself for a bit and talk through some things with myself for a bit and assure myself on a lot of things. But it's genuinely not that bad. I promise you. There is such a harmful mentality of once you're over the age of 18, you've missed out on the opportunity to ever make anything of yourself. Once you're over the age of 30, irrelevant, out of the picture. You're old now. There's nothing you can do to add anything to the world, and it's kind of that really negative mentality of, take the saying "kids are the future," for example. If I am 50 years old and I still live to see the next day, I am also the future, because every day that you exist, you impact the world around you. Everyone is the future. And not to say that the world doesn't change with each generation, because it very much does, but it also changes with the influence of adults too, even older adults. there is the stereotype of older people having really negative views on modern issues, and a lot of the time it's true, a lot of the time it's not true. And kind of like the argument of, yeah, well, they come from a different time where da 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 da. Yeah, you come from a time where things in your life aren't good either. You come from this time because this is a time when you are still young, relatively. So if you are 80 years old and you have opinions on things that you'd like to fight for or make a change for, or comments on things that you disagree with, would you want to be instantly disregarded because you're old? Hell no. Oh yeah, well, you come from a different time, you don't understand. You wouldn't want that. The idea of kids of the future is both harmful to older people and kids themselves. Kids are constantly told, you're the future, you're the future. And they have this feeling internalized of, oh god, I have to make changes to influence the entire world that we live in. That's up to me and my peers, but we don't know what we're doing. And it's just not a great mentality, and to put it neatly, it's absolute bullshit. Everyone is the future. You are not a lost cause once you're over the age of 30. You're not a lost cause once you're over the age of 80. My little brother's dad, his mum wanted to be a pharmacist. That was her dream since she was very young. A very specific dream that you don't really hear about very often, but that was her dream. And after she retired, about a year after retirement, she got a job as a pharmacist. It is never too late, ever. No matter how old you are. And that's something that needs to be talked about a lot more. Not many people want to get older. A lot of people really panic about it. And the conversation about life not being over once you're over the age of 30 has gotten better. But 30 is an age that people do usually freak out about quite a lot. And my uncle, my mum's older brother, talked to my mum on her 30th birthday, saying that the main reason why you freak out so much when you turn 30, or about getting older at all, is because you feel like you've not achieved what you want to achieve yet. You feel like you've missed out on things. You feel like you wasted opportunities. And that is true to a big degree. But also, more specifically for me, it's that feeling of, I don't want to be an adult. There's lots of really wonderful things about being adult, like your own autonomy, being able to earn your own money, being able to get your own space, being able to make your own decisions, and that's great. But it is also kind of scary too. It's scary not being one of the young people anymore. So, I'm sorry that I don't really have a very neat conclusion to the end of this. I'm just kind of thinking out loud. Maybe it's healthy to think out loud, but maybe it's good to maybe just watch some videos and cheer myself up too. And as the clock ticks forward, it is now officially the 29th of June here in jolly old England, so happy birthday to me. Thank you for listening to my ramble. Okay.